Hi, I'm Naturallygabbie, and this is my YouTube channel. Welcome back. So, in this installment, I kind of want to go into more depth of Gabbing to Humanity Part 5, which is Heal Yourself. This series, which is going to be a 3-part series, is pretty much going to be called Let's Really Talk About Healing Yourself. So, to recap that video, what I really focused on was getting to know yourself. And in my opinion, the best way to heal yourself is to know yourself. Because when you know yourself, you understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you accept yourself. And when you accept yourself, it's easier to heal all the things that need to be healed, all the traumas, all of the stress, all of the residue that's been left over from certain situations in your life. It's just easier because you know who you are and you can accept the things, the traits, the ideas that you have floating around in your head, and you can like weed out like what stories are yours and what stories are other people's. And when you have that foundation laid of I know who I am, you can focus on yourself and not worry about all these other voices, all these other stories that have nothing to do with you and can get in the way of your healing. So, in this video, I want to talk about I was doing a drum roll. I want to talk about your birth charts. I'm not even gonna discuss why you should believe in your birth chart, why you should accept that astrology is real. What I want to focus on is kind of my story of how I learned myself through my birth chart so that you can understand that you can do it too. So, the first time I got into astrology, it was through my best friend, Natifa. Check out her YouTube channel, Simply Natifa. She does tarot. She was always talking about like, oh, I need to check my horoscope. I need to check my horoscope. And I always like noticed horoscopes. I thought they were cool, but I never like really got into them because I never felt connected to this Cancer that they were talking about. You know, this emotional person who's always crying. And I'm just like, that's not me. Like literally, that's just not me. And I just never connected with this idea of who a Cancer was. And that's because it was general. It had nothing to do with me really. But we'll get into that. So I think it was like around 2017 or 2018 when I really started to pay attention to it. And I wanted to learn more. Me and my best friend, we learned more together. And that's when we found out about birth charts, that you are more than just your sun sign, okay? And I found that my moon is also in Cancer, which is, you know, my emotions. Your sun is your personality. Your moon is your emotions. And I found out that my rising sign, my ascendant sign, which is like your mask or who people first meet, was a Leo. And things started to click. I'm just like, oh. Like literally, I did not understand myself. I always felt like I was contradicting myself and also low-key hypocritical. I'm just like, okay, I like to be inside. I feel like a homebody. But as soon as I leave the house and meet up with other people, all of a sudden I'm the life of the party. And I just don't understand who that person, like who is that? Throughout the majority of my time in high school, especially my first 2 years, I was very much in my Leo, very much. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. I literally had my Cancer side in a box at home. And while I was in public, I was always my Leo self. I did not give myself a break. I always had to be the center of attention, not even in a negative way, but in like, I just loved being on stage throughout my daily walk in life. But it was exhausting because some days I was very much in my Cancer, but I had barely ever given her the light of day. So when I was her, people were concerned about me. They're like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'm just like, I can't be myself in public. No one wants to see that side of me. So I always stayed in my Leo. It wasn't until I was out of high school, out of college, spent more time at home, more time at work, that I finally started letting myself be myself. And because I understood now that I had this side of me, I understood where these two sides that seem to really contradict each other, this fire and this water, was coming from. And it really helped me accept myself because I understood. And then when I started reading more into my birth chart, and it was saying that, like, as a Cancer, when you find yourself almost emotionless, it's not because you're not a Cancer, it's because you're not connected to yourself. And I started to really notice a lot of things. I was very ashamed of being called sensitive, but I am. I was very much ashamed of like having feelings, but I do, like I had to really embrace myself as the sensitive, emotional empath that I am. And in order to do that, I had to understand what was going on. And I had to accept that this is who I am. And my birth chart was definitely the first step in helping me do that. Now I know my whole birth chart. I study it. I'm still studying it. I'm planning on actually writing a book about myself through astrology, through numerology, through all those things. Not really to be published, but for myself. So I could just go back and be like, all right, oh, okay, that's why I do that. I just feel like it's just handy. So what was the next thing I learned? My Venus, I am a female, so I wanted to know about my love. And my Venus is in Gemini. And it explained so much. I can't remember what video I shared this in, but I have been, I don't really like label it, but I've been celibate, or what's the other word? Abstinent. I don't click with that. That's not even, it don't make no sense to me. I have not had sex in 5 years for a myriad of reasons, but I felt so disconnected from sex, and I was confused as to what everybody else was seeing that I was not seeing. And even though there's a lot more that goes into that, learning about my Venus being in Gemini was the first step in helping me understand what that's all about. Geminis, they're different. I love me some Geminis. I have a little bit of Gemini in my chart, other than, I think my Mercury is also in Gemini, which is communication. But back to the Venus. Geminis are very much into themselves, not even in an Aries or Leo way, but they're just into exploring themselves. And not even in a sexual way, but in a mental way. And they're not really into settling, you know? Like, I didn't need to have sex because it wasn't what I was focused on. And I didn't miss it because I wasn't about to have sex with just anybody. I wanted to vibe with someone on an energetic level, but I wasn't focused on that either. So it just wasn't happening. And that was okay. And learning about that placement really helped me understand myself, because for a while, I was starting to wonder if there was something wrong with me. And not that, being asexual makes you wrong, but that's what I thought. I thought I was asexual. I'm like, maybe I just don't like people. I was really questioning what was going on with me. And like I said, even though there's more to it, that was definitely a huge step in understanding who I am and accepting that I am that way, right? Since I mentioned Mercury, my Mercury is also in Gemini, and that is communication. I have the gift of the gab, which, hello, Gabbing To Humanity, Naturallygabbie, it's in my name, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have the gift of the gab. I love to share gossip. I don't gossip that way, at least not anymore, but I love to share. When I learn something new, and like I said, I'm in my journey, I'm learning new stuff every day. I love to share with my family, with my friends, and now you guys. Love to share. Gift of the gab. And I share in a way where people can understand. And I'm not even gonna say that. I was about to say, I'm not even gonna say that. But I share in a way where people can understand where I'm coming from. I share and talk in a way where people can connect with what I'm saying. And that's a gift. But it's also my Gemini and Mercury, okay? My Mercury and Gemini. So, and then there's my Mars, which is in Virgo. Now, my Mars really talks about action, the way that I do things, what I'm attracted to, okay? Which also ties into Virgo because they're male-female energy, right? I am the type of person when it comes to relationships, when it comes to people just in general, honestly. If I'm talking to you and you can't hold a conversation, I don't care how fine you are. I don't care. Well, I've never really cared about how much money you have or whatever other material things you have in the first place. But if you cannot hold a conversation, if you cannot stimulate my mind, we just can't talk. And that's whether the relationship is sexual or not. I cannot have meaningless conversations. I do not do small talk. It makes me uncomfortable because I'm putting myself in an uncomfortable position of trying to have conversation about nothing. It completely goes against my nature, which is why it makes me uncomfortable. Small talk is not for me. When I talk, I like to talk about things that matter, okay? Period. That's just how I am. That is my Gemini in Venus. Now, when it comes to my Mars in Virgo, kind of a perfectionist. And I had to really, understanding that placement really helped me understand and accept myself, because now I can heal, or more watch that. I used to take forever to do things because everything had to be aligned perfectly. And of course, my perception of perfect, right? And it's it doesn't actually matter. I literally had to have everything lined up, do things on a certain day. It was kind of OCD in a way. Like, and I did not understand why I was like that. I'm like, where is this coming from? Is this because of my mom? Because she, she says that she has OCD? Is that what it is? Like, what is this? Why can't I just do things? Why can't I just act when I want to act? And it's because my action, okay, which is Mars, which rules your action, is in Virgo. And Virgos are low-key perfectionists. They have to have things a certain way. It has to make sense. If it don't make sense, it's not going to happen. That's how they are. Love you, Virgos. You know what I'm saying? And also, very critical of myself, of other people, and it's all out of love, well, not so much with myself. I used to be pretty mean to myself. Like, well, we don't need to get into all that, but it's a work in progress. But with other people, it wasn't out of meanness. It was so much out of love. When Virgos get on you, when Virgos seem judgmental to you, when they seem critical, when they seem to always be nitpicking at everything that you do, or not even everything that you do, but like they're always pointing things out to you, the things that you can work on, that's how you know they give a shit about you. That's how you know that they love and care about you. Because best and believe, if they did not, they would not say a damn thing. Nothing. They would just watch you fail and blink. They'll just be like, and the whole time in their head, like, well, if she would just do this, and if he did that, like literally. And I used to do that when I was younger. And when I say younger, I mean like up until I was like 17, 18, like 19, 22, like, like not that young, but I say younger because I am a completely different person now, but I digress. I always see the potential. Always. A person could come and have a conversation with me and they're talking to me and I am listening, but I am seeing their future. I'm just like, well, if they just deal with that, if they just try this, if they just think about that, if they just do that, like, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm getting it all, but I'm like going so far ahead, especially if I care about you. Like, I love people, and then I'm just like, you know how people say like you love their potential? I always love people that way. I love people unconditionally. I'm just like, your life is a complete mess right now, but you have so much potential. And it makes me love you even more because I can see how far you can go. I can see how far you can go. And I think that's the reason, no, I don't think. I know that's the reason why I used to be so hard on myself, because I always saw how far I could go. I always saw my potential. And so I would push myself and nitpick at this, that, and the third and try to perfect this, that, and whatever, trying to reach that potential. And I would always point out to the people that I love the things that they were doing wrong, because that was the only way that I knew how to help them reach their potential at the time, in very unhealthy ways. I've learned my lessons, but Virgo in Mars. Yeah, so these are just a few placements that I want to go over so that you can kind of grasp what I'm saying through my own stories. Every single placement that I learn about and come to understand helps me accept who I am. And accepting who I am is the best step to help me heal any traumas, okay? Anybody who is sitting here and telling themselves, well, I don't know what Gabbie is talking about because I ain't got no trauma. sorry. You playing yourself. You have trauma. It may not be big, or your perception of big. It may not take up a lot of space in your life, but everybody has trauma. Whether it's something that happened in their life, in their past life, in their ancestors' life, it could be generational. Everybody has some type of trauma, some shape or form, okay? It's up to you to figure out what it is, though. And that is what this series is about. Let's really talk about healing yourself. I'm Naturallygabbie, and this is my YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the next. Peace, love, and light.